Well. When I think about Mini, I think about 60s, the times when British Motor Corporation was rolling out of its factory a little compact front-wheel drive car with independent suspension, which was a revolution at the time, especially because it had its engine mounted transversely, with integrated transmission which gave a tiny car unbelievable passenger and cargo space. This way, Mini will influence car manufacturing for generations to come. Things have changed after BMW bought Mini in 2000, and along with traditional Mini Cooper, the increasing interest for larger vehicles had brought the Countryman. The first generation came out in 2010, and it didn't change much since then, at least on the exterior, which I find to be very good looking.
No matter what, this is a very recognizable shape image of the car. Everyone knows that it's a Mini, and people appreciate that. You have all sorts of design elements that make it stand out. Once you get inside, things get even more interesting. Pretty much all of your knobs or controls, they have a rounded kind of style. You have toggles, you have the layout itself of the infotainment system or the center dashboard is really unique, and it's different from what I've seen in other cars. And although in this particular trim I have a analog tachometer and speedometer, there is an optional digital gauge cluster which looks pretty nice. Besides all the classic Mini design approaches, there are a few really nice implementations when it comes to ergonomics and interaction with the interior. For example, the light stripe around your infotainment system will react depending on what are you doing in the car or what settings you're using. For example, if you're backing up, then the light will kind of work together with the car's parking sensor and will gradually change its light depending on how close you are to the object in the rear. Or when you turn up the volume, it's gonna light up according to your current volume. The same thing goes to HVAC controls. If you increase the temperature in the car or reduce it, it's gonna light up appropriately. Besides that, there is ambient lighting, and the coolest part about it is that there's a little toggle here on top, and you can always adjust it according to your taste. It has plenty of colors, and it really makes the interior more special when you get inside and out. The not so cool part about interior is the material choice. I guess the first thing that catches your eye is all those shiny kind of silver plastic inserts, which supposedly should look like metal. In fact, they look very, very cheap. It's like one of those Chinese cheap toys. I would probably prefer at least a brushed metal texture if they are going for that, because I understand the overall color of the interior is dark, so you do need some accents that will add contrast to the interior, and I'm fine with that. It's just the way it feels in reality. I know it's not gonna translate to the camera as well as it looks in person, but believe me, it just looks pretty cheap. And the same kind of goes to all the rest of the plastic in the interior. You have to consider that this is a pretty pricey vehicle. The base trim, it starts at around $29,000, and then if you option it out a little bit, at least a little bit, because this particular car is equipped with a sunroof, heated seats, and 18-inch alloy wheels. Plus, you have the optional white roof and white mirror caps, which already sets you up to another couple of $1,000s, so the price is going to be a little bit over $30,000 at this point. So when you're paying so much, it feels like it should be a little bit more. With that all said, the cabin is really quiet, even at high speeds on the highway. It's just the feel. It doesn't feel like it's a 30 and something over $1,000 car. It's a relatively large vehicle. It's the largest vehicle that Mini produces. From inside, it does feel pretty roomy. You have a large back seat area. I can even see behind myself. The trunk area is pretty good. Once you flat the rear seats down, it's pretty roomy, and the vehicle is taller. I would say you're kind of getting the same amount of space you would get in a more traditional lifted SUV. You have a good amount of space inside. So performance-wise, you have a 1.5 3-cylinder engine, which has to carry the 3,300 pounds this car weighs, and I'll say it right away, the engine is underpowered. The engine is good enough for daily use as long as you're not passing anyone. It's pretty nice on highway. I mean, you can easily keep up 70-80 miles an hour on a highway in comfort, and your RPMs will just stay a little bit over 2,000. I've tried to pass one time and I did it, but I was scared because you're pressing your foot all the way down into the gas pedal and not much is happening. So you have a little bit of punch in the say second, third gear. Once you go to higher speeds, the engine is gonna feel very weak, and you start to feel that when you go uphill and again when you're passing someone. For the most part, you can easily skip the base 3-cylinder engine and just go with the Countryman S with the 2-liter turbo engine. At least it gets you closer to 200 horsepower instead of, I think it's 129 or 134, which is by today's standards that's not enough. Besides that, the engine is paired to a dual clutch transmission. I was kind of surprised to find out that it's a dual clutch, because in reality it doesn't really feel like a dual clutch. It feels like a decent torque converter automatic. I guess this is the right car for obeying all the traffic laws. There is a pretty serious power deficiency when you wanted to drive it hard, and you would like to drive it harder because it has a pretty nice suspension overall. Normally, or generally from what I've noticed, your limitation is the tire. In the rest of the cases, the car handles pretty well. One thing I forgot to mention about the engine, besides being underpowered, the engine is definitely not refined, let's put it this way. The car features a start-stop function. Every time the car stalls, and then it turns on back, you feel a solid vibration that can start to piss you off. It feels like I'm driving an older car, honestly. The engine is not so refined, although it may sound kind of crazy, but you can actually hear the exhaust. It has some tone. The door itself, when you close the door, it has like a little bit of a older door feel. Speaking about the ride quality and balance, it holds the corners pretty well. I really enjoyed the way it feels on the road. There's some body roll, but you can feel the limit of the body roll once you enter the corner. So it's just like at some point your car will not roll more than a certain degree, and the next thing would be that your tires will start to loosen up, and you will start to lose some traction. If you go with an SUV, and a conventional SUV like a RAV4 or CR-V, you don't feel that limit. There is that fear that you could really roll over. Although Mini Countryman is a pretty practical vehicle, it still has that handling capabilities of a smaller car. The steering feels pretty nice. It's not the most direct, but it has some weight, and you do feel something through it. Not much, but I guess it's probably because of the tires or the wheels. It's a 18-inch wheel here, so that kind of gives you a little bit more feel. To end this video, let's talk about value. This is kind of a tough thing to discuss or to explain, because I feel like this is more of a niche car. If you drove only Camrys until now, and for example you want to jump on something like this, I doubt you're gonna try something like this. You'll probably go with your manufacturer, with a RAV4 or still a conventional compact SUV from other manufacturers, or mid-size SUV. I feel like most of the people who are buying these minis, they're fans of the brand. It was funny, I was driving in the mountains, and pretty much almost every mini I was passing by, people were waving me, so this is kind of a niche car in a community that gives you a community feel, So I don't think people are buying this vehicle because of its practicality. They still buy it for the brand, for the interior and the handling. I cannot see myself buying a car like this. What I'm trying to say is that if someone will buy these cars, they're buying it for their kind of quirkiness, for the way they look and feel,
So what do you have in the end? you have a vehicle that has more space than a hatchback but less than a CUV, a weak base engine that is not even worth mentioning, and a somewhat reasonable price tag of just under $30,000 before options for a base model. A BMW X1 is pricey even if it offers a more powerful base engine, and if you start adding options, the price will go up pretty quick. The good part about BMWs is that it's going to feel like other BMWs, which is also the worst part about it because all BMWs look the same. Now take a look at the Mazda CX-30, which became more luxurious in recent years, and you get way more features for the same price of a base Mini Countryman. But wait, you're not buying a Mini because you just need a car, right? You're paying for a more unique experience for something that is not a corporate high-volume seller. And here's the thing, the base Countryman at around $30,000 is a joke, but at $32,000 a base Cooper S version seems a lot more reasonable. And there are plenty of standard features to please you as well. And that is without mentioning the quirkiness of the interior with its controls, ambient lighting, and the whole funky mood it creates.
Alright, so that's gonna be all for today. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate you watching. I'm enjoying doing those videos, although I'm not that kind of person, or I'm not at the level where I can post constantly. But anyway, consider subscribing, liking the video, comment down below. Yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you.